having all of those discs in your bag is going to make your game worse. Your mental strain on what to choose is going to shoot through the roof. Biggest separator amongst people in disc golf is their putting. If you can make a putt from 35 feet and out, you are deadly.
If you just started playing and you want to improve quicker, stick to the mid-ranges. Literally take out all the distance drivers out of your bag except for like 2. And then it came back for the interview with Paul that he had won.
No way. You're kidding me.
Yeah.
I did not see that. I had no idea that was a thing.
Yep, that's what everyone is saying. And so pretty much they missed like the final hole.
Welcome in everyone to the Chain Clankers Disc Golf Podcast. I'm your host, Quentin Ferris here, joined as always by Horacio Gonzalez. We've got another great episode for you guys today. Today, we are going to be talking about the things we learned in 2021 and how we can apply that to 2022. Hopefully you can latch on to this kind of topic and understand kind of what we went through in our struggles so you don't have to struggle like we did and you can knock 22 out of the park. Let's bring in Horacio. How are we doing today, man?
I'm good. This is definitely a topic, hopefully for newer players. I guess it's not necessarily, just what this year, but more for me, this is my second season playing. So, stuff that we learned in our second year of playing, regularly and practicing and some stuff that maybe we should have paid more attention to or, gotten better a lot quicker by doing this earlier on. So hopefully this helps you guys out for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's definitely a ton of things. I think it's one of those things where the more you just play disc golf and the more experience you have, we've played with so many guys and gals who have so much more experience than us. And it's just kind of crazy that sometimes they're significantly better than we are, and sometimes we're significantly better than them. And it's really all just a learning experience. You can have been playing disc golf for 10 years, but if you don't learn what you did the year prior and be honest with yourself about your weaknesses, you can never get better and never actually improve, and you just stay the same. And that's something we want to avoid on this show. We always want to get better. So definitely very important to have episodes and discussions like this and be honest about your game with yourself. We're going to be honest about our games with you. So hopefully you can be just as honest with yourself and continue to strive to get better. But we are recording this it's Saturday night. And Sunday night, I'll be watching the Chiefs game. Very, very important game. But Saturday night, we're recording this. It's about 10:46 at night. USDGC is over. The Throw Pink Women's Championship is over. I just want to have a real quick talk on just our thoughts coming out of this weekend, Horatio. Last episode, we kind of turned heads by saying we think it's an incorrect move for disc golf to have the USDGC and the Throw Pinks Women's Championship as a pay-per-view event. And of course, it was so much fun. We did have some flag. We had some discussion, some debate about that over on Instagram and even on Facebook as well. Now that the event is wrapped over, do you still feel the same way?
100%. And I feel like tomorrow you'll probably see a lot more on social media. I know I've already seen it some on Twitter and stuff, but I think it definitely... unfortunately, I feel like the point we were making was proven. I know a lot of people were disappointed with the coverage. I know for the final, like it came down to the last hole. If you don't know who won yet, I don't know what you're waiting for because there's not going to be a post-production Joe mess. So, by this time you should know. So yeah, Paul Macbeth won in the playoff. And from what I've seen online is that there was coverage. They went to playoff. It cut away. So basically the coverage ended. And then it came back for the interview with Paul that he had won.
No way. You're kidding me.
Yeah.
I did not see that. I had no idea that was a thing.
Yep. That's what everyone is saying. And so pretty much they missed like the final hole. And so people are pretty upset. Maybe, for some people it didn't happen that way, but I think it was like how the coverage was put out. Like it was over and then it was like intermission because they were like, they had to take a break or whatnot. And then it maybe showed their first shot or something like that. But yeah, it skipped all of it and basically just went back to the interview, which if I had paid money and then I didn't see the winning shot, yeah, I would be pretty mad.
And guess what? We didn't pay money, and I still saw the winning shot on Instagram. Like it was just as good. And in two things, real quick. The first one is what I've heard is A, the commentary was not good as expected, and B, that there were multiple times where the coverage was not crisp and clear. It's pixelated. It's not looking good, and it just boggles my mind and frustrates me that it's a pay-per-view event, but we can't put on a good event. Just something that kind of bogs my mind. The second point there is I'm genuinely happy for Paul, and I'm happy for the emotion and the reaction that he gave. Like we have not seen that kind of Paul Macbeth in a long time, and it fired me up to want to go get out there and get better.
I feel like you would have loved to see him lose.
No, now, hey, I'll be the first one to admit that boy Kyle Klein is good, man. I'll tell you what, that boy Kyle Klein is going to be a problem. Let me tell you what, a problem in the next couple of years. But I think that Paul is chasing Ken Climo to be the greatest of all time. And I literally, if you would have asked me this question, I don't know, a year or two ago, I probably was a Paul hater. I was like, bro, Paul's overrated, blah, 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 blah. But I have completely come 180. And I think watching him go from I dominate every single tournament to, hey, the competition has caught up to, I have to work even harder at my craft. I have to change things up. I can't stay status quo and expect to be a champion. I really appreciate that and dig that. And so it almost puts me back in his corner. And I was definitely, whoever ended up winning was going to be awesome regardless, because that boy Kyle, man, I'm telling you what, he's going to be a problem. But I just the way that Paul won, the emotion he had, you could tell this mattered more than a lot of other tournaments. And just, I'm glad that he was able to get hot in the rain. I know you and we joked around that Paul thrives in bad conditions, and he surely took advantage of it. Yeah, he had a poor first couple rounds, and then round 3 really turned it on. Round 4 really was not spectacular, which allowed Kyle to get back in. But when it came up to the clutch moment, he did pull it off. So I was super happy for him to do that. One last note I'll say before I throw it back to you is just, I'm absolutely shocked, gutted that Christian Tatar and the other Europeans could not come over who had qualified for the event. And they probably would have won. Congratulations to Missy Gannon on winning. But it's just shocking to me that Paige Pierce, with a 5-stroke lead heading into round 3, shoots a plus 18 to fall completely out of the event. Missy Gannon holding on to the lead, getting the W. Big congrats to her, but just shocking how Paige's tournament ended.
Yeah, really no idea what happened there. I mean, we didn't watch it, so maybe it was a health thing, maybe it was just something out of her element, but that's like totally unlike her. So hopefully everything's all right, because that for a competitor of her level, she's probably hurting from that kind of, to go out that way, especially after leading after 2 rounds, I believe 3 rounds.
She was leading. I mean, she was leading by 5 strokes. It was over. Literally everyone was saying it's over. She's got it locked up. She just has to coast through for the next 2 rounds. And from what I saw, round 4, she shot even. So round 3, I mean, she literally just OB after OB after OB. And I mean, multiple double bogeys. Just, I mean, when you shoot plus 18, it's pretty hard to, I don't know, find success the rest of the tournament.
Yeah. So hopefully she's good, because I mean, that's not like her. And it was definitely, I know, exciting to see somebody else win. The top 4, second place Kona. So fun to see new names up there for the women's. Definitely very exciting. But yeah, the men's was the nail biter for sure. Kyle Klein, he just like kind of snuck up. Like he wasn't really in those like top, and then he just comes out of nowhere, and then next thing you know, he's like in the playoffs like once again, and he almost pulled it off again. But Paul, he wanted this one for sure. He thrives in these pressure moments, and I've said it before. He definitely, I feel like he has an on button that he decides when to really go for it. I feel like a lot of the tournaments he goes and he's there kind of, but I don't know, that beast in him when it's in these like pressure, really difficult tournaments. Like he turns it on, and that's where he thrives the best. Um, but yeah, hopefully everybody got what they wanted out of this tournament. Sucks for the pay-per-view situation thing. I know they were even asking people to put their phones on airplane mode, just so it wouldn't suck up
You're kidding
cell
me.
service. No, yeah, from the service for the cameras so they could live stream and stuff. And I mean, just stuff like that. I don't think that hopefully they listen to the fans and to the people, and they do away with pay-per-view. I feel like USDGC is a really cool tournament that more people should get the access to watch it. And this one would have been a really fun one to watch, and a lot of people missed it. And another thing that was weird is how much coverage, or I guess how much footage was out there floating around social media. I get like the people that are there watching, the fans and whatnot, but Disc Golf Network was literally like posting throughout the entire tournament, like stuff, UFC and whatnot. Unless you get like illegal streams or
You ain't
whatever, like
getting
pay-per-view
nothing.
events, like no one shares anything. You see videos from like the fans up in their seats, like super far, like really blurry videos and whatnot. But you literally can't find any footage of those UFC fights because it's pay-per-view until like the next day or whatever. But literally Disc Golf Network was like posting like a ton of coverage on their Instagram and whatnot, which I mean, that's awesome. But I guess that was just kind of confusing to me. I didn't get that portion of it. Like it's pay-per-view, but you're still kind of showing what's going on.
It's one of those
Am I
things where,
lying?
like, when's the last time you've watched a pay-per-view UFC boxing match where you see the knockout that night? I don't know.
You see it by people that post it there. Usually you can go on by the time it's over and you can find a video but I mean, it's
Yeah,
usually
but
by someone that's
it's
at
gonna
the
be a
fight.
bad video, like you were saying, someone way up in the bleachers. You might get a picture of them like on the ground or whatever, but like ESPN and all the other networks, they don't put out the video until, like you were saying, like the next day, if not days or never in the future. Like it just boggles my mind that it's a pay-per-view event, but we're going to constantly be posting stuff during the event. Like if I paid money for that and then saw that, honestly, I would be frustrated. Why did I pay the $20 for this? And a couple of you actually kind of, I should have said this on the episode, so I'm glad I get an opportunity to say it. I think at the end of the day, a lot of it is because Innova owns the USDGC. Like this is their event or whatever. They're the sponsor of it. They like own the USDGC. And so they're the reason why there's a paywall for this at the end of the day. And the Disc Golf Pro Tour needs to do whatever they need to do to buy Innova out of this so that they have control over it and fix this situation, because this is not good for the sport. I know we've had some great discussions and debates with other people online, but at the end of the day, this is not good for the sport. If you are a DGN subscriber, this should be a free event for you to watch. And if you want to watch the event, subscribe to the DGN. I'm all for that because you get the coverage all year long. I am pro that. Let me make that very clear. I am very pro subscribing to the DGN in order to watch live disc golf. That's cool. If that's what you want to do, that is a-okay. No problem with that. But for one event to be pay-per-view and it to be ran horribly, there's no excuse for that. And at the end of the day, you should be getting sponsors to come in, because someone made a great point. Well, you have to pay the cameraman, you have to pay the broadcasters, you have to pay all the people on the team. Yes, absolutely. Those folks should make their money. But someone made the argument of like, just because they're doing it, like they have to be making money. I mean, you could apply that to just because we're doing the podcast, we should be making money from this. So like everything we put out should be behind a paywall. And I just don't think that's the case. You should be getting the money from sponsors. You should be wanting as many people as possible to tune into the event so you can get a return on your investment. It doesn't make any sense to cap something like this. This isn't the Super Bowl. This isn't the World Series. This is a United States Disc Golf Championship for the men and a major for the women as well. Like, don't you want as many people possible to watch that and have big time sponsors coming in? I don't know. that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. It's just hopefully in the future, this will be corrected. We will see though.
Yeah, I mean, we still have the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship to watch, and I mean that one. If you're a Disc Golf Network member, like you will get access to that, and then usually, if it's the same way it's been all year, the final will be on YouTube. So, I mean, I feel like that's pretty cool. You know, if you can and you want to tune in for the final, then everyone has access to it. Which I mean, you have no idea how everyone got there, and if you don't care, you know, a lot of people want to watch how the final came to be. And so, you know, those are the ones that are going to have access to have subscription and watch the whole thing. But if you don't care, and I really don't care, you know, I just want to watch and see who wins and watch live coverage. And if I can, I tune in to watch it. So I love the fact that they put the final on YouTube, and you can just hop in and watch it. And it's pretty sweet. And I mean, that one is going to be the highest paid tournament, you know, today again, and it's going to have a ton of sponsors, and I'm sure they're going to kick it out of the park. But yeah, I think that's enough.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, if
that's
you agree with us on this, leave a like, leave a comment. If you disagree with us still, please leave a comment. I want to continue to have these discussions. This is good for the game. Not saying anything is bad for the game. Everyone having groupthink and thinking the exact same thing is bad for the game, bad for growing the sport. So it's good to have open and honest discussions. It's good to have difference of opinions. So absolutely love that. But yeah, hopefully you guys are still with us after all of that. We are going to get into the things that we learned in 2021, what we can apply to 2022, what we're hoping to be able to do more of. And hopefully, like I said at the beginning of the show, you can take our experiences and use them for yourself so that you don't have to struggle like we did. So something can click for you and you can figure out your game better in order to continue to improve. Because at the end of the day, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you want to improve your game. And that's why we're here. We want to help you improve your game in any way that we can. And something that a goal of ours is to be more personable with you guys. Let really connect with you guys more via the podcast, via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of those things. Let you into our games and how we think we can help and learn through us. You know, accelerate your growth in disc golf. Don't wait 5-10 years to get good. Let's get good today. So Horatio, why don't you kick us off? What is the kind of first thing that you are going to be taking into 2022 with you?
yeah, and you know, this stuff, especially now that I'm not able to play as much, I have to be a lot more specific and more focused with the stuff in my game. You know, I was playing last year, and a part of this year I was playing maybe, I don't know, 4 to 6 times a week. And I mean, I live literally down the street from a course, so I would come after work and play, or on the weekends, it was super easy. Really good access to it, so I would play constantly. That was kind of my workout, you know, instead of going to the gym or whatnot. That's the thing I did. But now I'm just busy, not able to play as much, so I have to continue to improve at the rate that I did in this last year or so. I definitely have to take more into consideration. And, you know, one thing that I have incorporated heavily that I feel like really helped my game a bunch, which you have heard on this episode, on this podcast a ton, is playing with mids. Um, I think I threw, I don't know, this last time at league night, went to go play, and I think I threw a driver a handful of times, maybe like 3 or 4 times. The rest of that, it was all mid ranges. And that has helped me improve not only my distance, but my accuracy, and then also just angle shots. If you're able to get your form down and your technique correctly with a mid, it helps a ton, and you see a lot better shots than you would with a high speed distance driver. Even though you think you have the speed, sometimes it's not necessary, and you come to learn once you start throwing a lot of mid ranges is that they're enough, and a lot of times you're able to be more accurate with them. So that's definitely the one thing that I would say, you know, if you just started playing and you want to improve quicker, stick to the mid ranges. Literally take out all the distance drivers out of your bag except for like two. Even if you play at a course that's just wide open and it's a bomber course, you don't have the power for it unless you're like super talented and you can just rip. You're not going to be able to do much with those. So stick to the mids and get that accuracy, get that form down, and it will help you in the long run.
Yeah, that's really good. And learning mids is definitely important. I'll shout out the learning your discs, learning your bag is very important. Really spend some serious time this off season and into the season being out in the field throwing your plastic, understanding, hey, what does your plastic do in the wind? What does the plastic do in no wind? What does it do if you throw it on a hyzer? What about straight? What about anhyzer? Learn what your discs do so you can have confidence to execute every shot out there, which leads me to the number one thing that I need to continue to do going into 2022 is getting my butt in the field. Playing rounds is not always going to get you better. And over the winter, one of my big goals was I want to be out in the field as much as I can, working on my form and working on my distance. Was feeling really good. I mean, I'd be out there for a good amount of time, multiple times a week. Now, I had a job in that I worked mostly, 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. and had school, but it was half like one day a week I was in person, the rest was online, so I could do it whenever. So I could go out to the field pretty much whenever I wanted. And can't really do that as much now with my current work schedule. So it's gonna have to be much more purposeful when I do go out to the field. I'm not just trying to crush drives to see how far I can throw. I need to be almost have like a routine slash like I don't know a plan for what my field work is going to be. Because even I noticed when I wasn't throwing good, I would go out and do field work for a couple of days, and I'd be feeling good again and feeling like I could attack the course again. But over the winter, I did a ton of field work. A lot of things improved for me, and as the weather got warmer, I got away from that because not being able to play as many rounds, I was like, man, I just want to go play. I just want to go play. I just want to go play. I needed to continue to stick to the field work. I needed to at least try to get in one session a week or once every couple of weeks instead of just completely abandoning field work completely. You hear the pros say it all the time that the field work is so important for you getting better. And maybe you're so talented you don't need field work and just playing the course gets you good. And that's great. But for me and probably the average disc golfer, you need to get out in the field and just give yourself an opportunity how your discs learn without trying to attack a basket. And B, it allows you to work on different parts of your game and really hone in and focus on it for an extended period of time, being able to put yourself in repeatable situations, which I think is critical for your development. And so that's why I need to continue to go out in the field. I feel at the end of the season almost a little disappointed with my growth because I feel like I really was coming into this season feeling great about my distance, feeling great about my form, and I'm leaving the season questioning a couple of things, feeling okay and knowing what I need to attack, which I'll probably talk about later, but I feel like I could have done a lot more. Now, has my score gotten significantly better? Absolutely. But I feel like there's more to be had, which is a great feeling. I'd rather have that feeling than yeah, this was my best season. And I think once you have that, I think you have nothing to look forward to. So having those goals, wanting to be better, knowing there's more to the ceiling, I think is super critical. And I really do think field work, having a plan is super critical for your disc golf development.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking about these things and something, just for context. Last year, I mean, when we were playing, rec, we were not doing great. A lot of plus scores, even going to doubles and whatnot. Or the tournaments we did, not great. I know for mine, not great at all. And I will still say, that I am a new player and I am not great at all. Sometimes I have decent rounds that I can put together compared to, some of the other people in my division and whatnot. And I have, this season, especially towards the end of it, going to league and doing some of I didn't do any tournaments, but yeah, going to a lot of the leagues and some of them being singles and even doubles. I've probably cashed at, I don't know, I think of all the all the leagues and doubles I went to this year, I probably cashed in all of them but two. And I went almost every week. And that is because I actually did improve, So all this stuff we're saying, it's not just what we think, maybe helped us, maybe not. Like my game definitely improved compared to last year. I've posted some some stuff on Instagram, just compared of what my throw looked like at the beginning and kind of what it looks like now and what it's come into. And that was just because of recording myself and doing all that stuff. So my game has improved and I feel like it has, but there's way more that I want to do. And the next thing that I want to talk about that I think has helped me out a ton is learning to throw a disc straight. And I think a lot of you guys might be like, well, like, duh, like everyone should be able to do that. Or, it's disc golf. Like everybody does that. Everybody throws disc straight. But what I've learned is that a lot of people do not know how to throw a disc straight. A lot of courses are very friendly to not needing to throw disc straight. I know, just for example, my first ace, my only ace so far, it was on a hole where, I mean, you don't have to take the line that I did, but every time that I got close to getting an ace on that hole, it was the same shot. It was a hyzer flip just down the middle. There's a bunch of trees on the left and there's a tree on the right that you want to miss. And for me, the easiest way to get there and the way that I wanted to get there was just a straight shot just at the basket. And so, there's a couple of the others of those shots on that course, but I really wanted to get that one. And it was just so fun to me to be able to do that shot that I just continued improving that and wanting to get better at that shot. And so what that meant for me was throwing understable stuff, stuff that would be really flippy for other people. Or some people are like, no, I don't like that. They turn over too much, and just constantly improving and figuring out those discs. And so it was very understable stuff that I was throwing on there. And that in return has caused me to have that shot in my bag for the rest of the course. And I think I take it for granted, but playing a league the other night, some of the shots where, people were just throwing hyzers or whatnot, or trying to go over stuff. I'd look at it and I'd be like, this is just a dead straight shot at the basket. And that's what I was doing. It was similar to that shot that I got an ace on, and I was throwing the shot that I know how to do, just a hyzer flip with a mid, get it to lift up and just glide towards that basket and fade very little. And I feel like that has helped me out a ton, because once you're able to do that, that is much easier to do a hyzer shot than it is to, need to do a straight shot and do that. I can be in a course and the only shot is, okay, do a hyzer, a big spike hyzer or something to get around a tree. That shot is much easier than to be at a course where you have a tunnel and you have to throw dead straight at it. If you don't have that shot and all you're used to throwing is hyzer shots over trees, or a flex shot, where you put on a big ante and then it flexes back because it's overstable. It's much easier to do that than it is to get a disc to go dead straight. So I would say that has improved my game a ton, because it takes a ton of control, a lot more disc control to do that.
Yeah, I really think that throwing straight is arguably one of the hardest things to do in disc golf, because, at least for me personally, when I try to throw something straight, I feel like I either hyzer out too early, or I get too much into it and I go right, or I don't throw it hard enough and it doesn't even have a chance. And it's a lot about disc selection as well. If you throw something overstable, it's going to finish to the left. If you throw something really understable, it's going to finish to the right. So like it's a lot of good form and technique, and also making sure you're choosing the right discs in those scenarios to do that. So yeah, that's an absolute great shout. Philo Brathwaite has a fantastic video, kind of clinic style, on throwing straight. So definitely recommend checking that out over on YouTube. And who knows, maybe we can get him on and we can talk about throwing straight as well. But yeah, that's super, super important. Something else that I think, especially for all you newer players, rec players, intermediate, advanced, pros, whoever, if you play disc golf, there's one way to finish the hole, unless you just leave and rage quit. But it's having the disc go in the chains. And what I'm talking about here is practice putting, practice putting, practice putting. The biggest separator amongst people in disc golf is their putting. If you can make a putt from 35 feet and out, you are deadly. If you can make a putt from 25 feet, you're deadly. If you can make a putt from 15 feet, you are deadly. And when I'm talking about deadly, I mean if you're making 9 out of 10 15 footers, 8 out of 10 25 footers, 7 out of 10 35 footers, it's going to be really hard for you to lose because even in scenarios where you might be picking up a bogey because you had a bad drive or a bad upshot, you're able to save your par and you're able to walk away from that hole feeling perfectly fine. Or you're like Horatio, who the other on the last league night on Friday probably cashed in 4 circle 2 birdies and just barely missed on another 4. Like, that is extremely good. And that is the difference between someone like me that night. I think I cashed in on maybe one of those circle 2 putts. And I finished at -2. He finished at -6. That's literally the difference. That is quite literally the difference right there is the putting and how important putting is. And so it's not just a, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to throw 10 putts tonight from the exact same spot. I'm not changing anything. Like you have to move around your basket. You want to put yourself in scenarios that equal the course, if that makes sense. Wear the right shoes, move around the basket. I'm a big proponent of I personally practice putt better and feel like it goes to the course more when I'm only putting with one disc and I have to go walk and pick it up after every throw because in my head it's more real. It's more like I'm out on the course. It's more like that shot actually mattered than if I just know, oh, it's fine, I missed. I'm just gonna fastly put out this next one because it's in my hand. I'm ready to go. I'm not able to get that full reset. And I think that full reset is truly important for my game. So that way I can put myself in those pressure situations. So like I was saying, Horatio was absolutely dialing it up from circle 2 and I was unable to. And I was at the end of the night, I probably went home and did 30 minutes worth of putting practice. I was so frustrated with my putts because even from 15 feet, something that I knock out 8, 9, 10 out of 10 times just was not happening. Or if it was happening, I wasn't feeling confident in it happening. Literally on like our second hole, I airballed from like 12 feet out. When is the last time that's happened to me? I don't know. I literally don't know. Ended up taking a bogey on that hole, which was the difference between being in tied for fourth and third by myself. So I cannot tell you the last time I've airballed from that far out and didn't even come close to making it. And after that putt, the rest of the round, I had very little confidence in my putting. So it's getting out in the backyard on the course, really dialing in your putt, feeling good, and just taking a gosh darn deep breath before you take your putt and tell yourself you're going to make it and have that confidence, have that swagger, you're going to do it. And you know what? Put 100% into it because if you miss it, giving 100%, at least you gave it a dang chance, man. At least you gave it a chance compared to half-assing it and still missing.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And I feel like me and you have different outlooks on that, and other people do also. And that's why I feel like it's worth shouting out that we have different viewpoints on putting. I know you like putting in the backyard, and if you're on the course, you like to carry one disc. It matters more. It's more important. Definitely feel that. I'm the opposite. I hate putting in the backyard. It's so boring to me, and my dogs hate it. And I don't know. I just don't like being out there. I have a whole little setup thing, and it's pretty cool when I can get out there. But I get so bored. What I do is I go to the course, and instead I carry like 3 to 4 discs that I practice playing with, and so when I'm playing my practice round or whatever with a buddy, obviously I make sure there's no one on the tee. I'm not like blocking anyone out too long, but whatever. Sometimes, usually if I'm parked by the basket, I don't take that disc. If I had a couple off the tee, or if I'm only doing one shot off the tee, and I'm parked, I don't take that one. I go somewhere else where like I could have been or where I've been before. And I'm like, okay, that's a birdie. I don't need to go practice that putt. It's like 8, 10 feet away or whatever. I go somewhere else, maybe behind a tree, or I just step out farther and I take my putts from there. because it's more of a practice round. I'm also different in that way in field work. I don't really do a whole lot of field work. We just play the course a bunch and learn different shots. And so when we're out there, we're making sure to change it up. And so I just carry numerous putters and I practice that way. So if that way works for you, great. If you need more of that mental challenge that Quinn's talking about, then yeah, just carry one putter and do that instead if that works for you. But everyone's going to be different. It's going to have to figure out. For me, everyone needs the repetitions, period. Even if you have different styles, you get bored putting in the backyard, you still need the repetitions. I get my repetitions done in the course. If I do 3 to 4 putts per hole, that's I don't know, it's like 60 something. I'm not a math. It's quite a bit, which if you're out in the backyard, that might take you a while or whatnot. And so sometimes I do more than, I might do like 10 putts per hole or something like that. It seems like it's a lot easier and it's like you trying to keep it moving along. So, you want to take a few practice putts and you have to be a little bit quicker. You have to be a little bit more focused to get them in so you can move on to the next hole. And so that's just kind of how I've always done it. And I feel like it helps me because it's kind of in that course mindset. When I'm in the backyard, I don't know, it's tough to be putting when, I know it's kind of just a practice basket, but on the course, even though it's a practice round, it's on the course. So it feels like situations that I could be in, situations that I have been in. And with that, that's a perfect segue into my last one that I have, and that is don't be afraid to change your putter. I've putted with the Warden for a long time. That was the best one that worked for me. I think it was my second putter. It was after I began with the AVR, went to the Warden, bought a bunch of those, and that's what I putted with. And they were fine. I thought they worked. And you might have a putter, that might work for you right now, but maybe there's something out there that might work better. And I'm not saying immediately just go out and swap your putter. Maybe you've already done this, you've already swapped, you found the one. And so for me, yeah, it was the Warden, but it still felt kind of deep. And for a while, I was putting with Jawbreaker zones. They just felt good. And people would literally be like, wow, this guy putts with a zone like you're a madman. Like that's an overstable putt and approach disc people use for approach shots and some driving. Like they're really good discs, but most people don't putt with them. But they're thin. If you've ever thrown a Jawbreaker zone, they feel really good and they're not as deep as like a putter. So for me, they just felt really good in my hand and I made a lot of putts with them. But I had to throw them really hard so that they wouldn't kind of fade out on me because they are overstable. And so that's just kind of what I eventually had to learn to do. And then I realized, or I had a Discmania Sensei. It's kind of like not the active line plastic, but the other grippy kind. And I forgot I had that in my bag, and I just pulled it out of my bag and threw it in my cart, and kind of just started messing around with it. And it has a similar depth feeling to the zone. Like it's kind of thin, it's not super deep, and I started putting with that, and completely it's more understable. It's a very understable disc. So it felt the same way that the Jawbreaker Zone did in my hand, which was really nice, but it was understable. So, I could just throw it at the basket and not have to worry about it fading one way or the other. And so it's one less thing to worry about. And so this is, a year or so into me thinking that I had the putter that worked for me. And so now, yeah, I have a bunch of Wardens that I don't really throw and I don't need anymore, but I have found a putter that works a lot better for me, and I'm making putts that I normally wasn't. I was making putts with the Warden, but there was still something missing. And putting is all about comfort and about feel. And this just feels a lot easier to me. I don't have to worry about how it's sitting in my hand. I don't have to worry about as much. All I have to do is go through my routine. If you can get to the point to where you have the putter that's perfect for you, you're going to realize that all you have to worry about is going through your routine, through your motions. And if you have practice enough, that putt's going to go in, 90% of the time. If it's a putt that, you can make, you've practiced, unless the wind is crazy. If if you're just worried about your timing and your technique, that putt's going to go in. If it's not most of the time, then there's something you need to fix. Maybe a different putter, maybe your timing, maybe your form, or something that you're doing wrong. And so, yeah, I feel like that it's given me a lot of confidence in my putting, which has also helped my game because, it's easier like, okay, I can get up to it and like this one's going to go in. Or, other ones. I made some really good circle two putts the other night, and I pretty much, I was like, okay, I know what I need to do. I'm just throwing it at the basket, and I had so much confidence in the disc that when they went in, I was hyped, but it was like, yeah, like I felt like that was going in, and that's how it should feel.
Absolutely. It's kind of a never be afraid to continue to experiment with what you're throwing. My last tip, the last thing that I learned in 2021 is to take discs out of your bag, consolidate your bag. But before I really get into that, segueing with yours, that's not me saying never try a new disc, never try a new putter, never try a new fairway, never try, whatever. It's a be selective, work a disc out, take it to the field, take it to the course, give it a trial run, work with it, see if it works for you. And if it does, put it in the bag, but take something out. Don't overload your bag with nonsense you're never going to throw because if you don't have I guess a better way of saying it is if you have four discs that all do the exact same thing, it's just made by somebody different. How are you going to know which one to pull out? You don't. And then you're never going to have the confidence in that shot because if it goes bad, or you might even be thinking about it before you even release the disc. You're like, oh, I should have went with that disc. If I've got a Raider, a Zeus, a DD3 and a destroyer all in the bag, and I throw the destroyer, and it's a bad shot. I'm gonna be like, yeah, I knew I should have thrown the Zeus here, or I should have thrown the DD3 here. Like that's not good. That is not good. It's fun. It's cool to have those discs. Maybe cycle it out. Give them a little trial run, but having all of those discs in your bag is going to make your game worse. Your mental strain on what to choose is going to shoot through the roof. And I don't think you can have as much success as you could have by just going with something different. Like, I mean, we've literally played with guys who have three discs in their entire bag, and they've absolutely smoked us before because there is no mental strain on what they're throwing. They're throwing what they throw. They know exactly what the disc is going to do, and they can throw it in different ways to get it to fit whatever shot they need it to fit. So it's really important, and something I am actively trying to do to the best of my ability is building my bag to where I have a disc that is supposed to do every shot shape that I want. So I have an overstable distance driver, I have a neutral to overstable distance driver, relatively neutral, and then one that should go to the right. Maybe it finishes a little bit left, maybe it just finishes right. Like that is the goal there. And then same thing for fairways, same thing for mids, and maybe same thing for approach disc. We'll have to see. But it's one of those things where you have to have a disc, fill that slot in your bag, and just go with that disc. And if you find out, this really isn't working, okay, let's bring another disc. And you're doing a practice round. Let's throw both of them in this situation and see what happens. And don't always throw the same one first because then you'll have already had that rep of doing it first, so you'll make adjustments. Switch off between which one you're going to throw here and there. And I think that will be like, hey, I've got what's a good example here? I've got an origin and a buzz, right? And I throw the origin. I've been throwing the origin, and it's working good. But maybe I want to see if the buzz can do better. Okay, I'm going to take the buzz with me. I'm going to throw the buzz here first, then I'll throw the origin, or I'll throw the origin, then I'll throw the buzz. And you can really get those data points and then kind of determine and be like, all right, you know what? I was right. I should go to the buzz. The buzz is consistently doing better. I like how it's feeling my hand. I'm having better performance. I'm going with the buzz now. And take the origin out of your bag. Don't just leave it in there because then the first time you have a bad buzz shot in a round that matters, you're going to be like, I knew I should have thrown the origin. Why did I do that? And now you're not going to have confidence in either shot. So at the end of the day, disc golf is about fun. Remember that, guys and gals. Disc golf is about fun. Yes, we all want to be the best that we can be, but it's no fun to have no fun out on the course. Have fun. B, let's lower that mental strain and let's consolidate our bags and let's allow for more predictable shots and more predictable rounds. I think that's very critical and something that I want to take in 2022, something I very much learned in 2021 and am currently still trying to fully implement, that I will have implemented by 2022.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. The discs, I hate to beat on a dead horse, but yeah, I think it's hugely important to learn. And I think a lot of people give way too much power to discs. Like they they're like, oh, this disc will help me do this shot. This is my disc for this hole. This disc is when I need to do this on the course or whatnot. Instead of being like, I know how to do this shot, this shot, and this shot with this disc. I think it's much better. It's going to help you in the long run if you learn how to use the disc in whatever way you need it to, as opposed to having a disc for the shot that you need. There's a time and a place. I still carry the tilt, even though I talked a bunch of trash on it, and I still think I throw it maybe 5% of the time, but it's a disc for a time and a place. Like it's specifically for crazy shots or whatnot. It's not a disc that I'm going to learn how to do everything on, because you literally cannot learn how to do everything with that disc because it cannot do everything. But a good example for me is the Discraft Hades. I can literally do any shot that I want with that disc. You throw me on a course, like a huge course, with some long drives, and only give me that disc, I will be fine, because I know how to throw a turnover shot with it. I know how to throw a spike hyzer or a hyzer shot with it. I know how to throw a hyzer flip with it. Whatever I could, if I really, really need to, I could flick it. It wouldn't be that great, but I could, because I've learned how to throw that disc so much. And there's shots where I think a lot of people they would get to the hole and it just goes to the left, for a right-hand player, and they're like, oh, I need something overstable. This is something, I'm going to pull out a Punisher. I'm going to pull out, something really overstable, and to where maybe I get to it and I'm like, like I'll just throw my Hades. I'll just have it hyzer flip up and just have it carry, because for me, I feel like I really do believe it takes a lot less power to do that shot with an understable disc than with an overstable disc. I challenge anyone, to only throw understable discs for like a week, or for like the next times you go out and play. Don't throw anything like overly overstable. Stay and throw only understable stuff, like super flippy stuff, for an entire week or two. And then go back to it after you do that and throw an overstable disc, and you will be like blown away by how much power it takes to get that disc to fly correctly for you after you've been throwing understable stuff. I know that happened to me because I was just so dependent on my because that's what I throw. And then once I went back to, and I threw my Raptor back in there, it was just wild how hard I felt like I had to throw it to get it to do what I wanted.
Yeah, definitely something that I am working on / trying to get more neutral discs into the bag. And if it is something that's more overstable, I want it to be less on the speed scale, so that way it's easier to get the disc up to scale. Like the Enigma is about as fast as I want to go. It's a 12 speed, but it's a like 2 fade and -1 turn. So like that's about the range I want to be. I don't have the desire or the need to have a Zeus. It's gonna be in the bag, but like I might just use it for forehands. Probably won't use it a lot for backhands. Like I'll probably have a Wraith in there. That'll probably be the most overstable kind of high speed disc that I have in my bag, just because I do think I agree with you a lot. Getting to that neutral stability / understable, and you've heard pros and other guys say it as well, that it's super important for those things, because the speed to get the disc to fly how it's supposed to, you have to, you have to throw it that hard. And for a lot of people, it's going to be hard to throw it like that. And I really think that's a fantastic shout. Man, 2021 is pretty much wrapped up. USDGC Throw Pink's Women Championship is over. We've really just got the Pro Tour Championship left. That's the last thing for the pros, and then any other little tournaments that they're going to be doing. I know we've got a couple of more tournaments in town that might be going on, and leagues are pretty much wrapping up or will be wrapping up here pretty quick. So we're getting into off-season mode pretty quick. And guys and gals, off-season mode is your biggest opportunity to go and make gains. Let's do it together. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the follow button. That's what it is on Apple Podcasts apparently now. So I'm going to start saying follow. So if you could follow us there. If you haven't already, please, 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 if you're still listening to this point, leave us a rating and review. I would love to hear the feedback from you guys, and it helps us shoot up the charts so other people can find this podcast and get better as well. So we really do appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, a like rating really lets us know that you're enjoying the content, and we'd love to have more discussions with you guys. But that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. Hopefully you guys did enjoy, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the Chain Clankers podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chain Clankers, and hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to us from so you never miss another episode.